Hi guys, I'm Kayla Cox here with the Unfiltered Lens, and I am talking to Kiki Harris. Kiki, do you want to talk to us a little bit about your journey with where you're at?
Yeah, so currently I am working 3 jobs. Not the greatest, but so I graduated in 2020. Outside of high school, I worked at Target for like a year, and then I ended up becoming a dental assistant for a periodontist.
Okay.
So we do like a bunch of surgeries and that sort of thing. And then in the midst of all of that, I decided to start working at a tanning salon just because why not? Like it's like a summertime vibe all year
exactly.
round. So and summer is just great. So and then not too long ago, just like within the last couple of months, I started doing makeup. I volunteered to do makeup for some fashion show not too long ago, and it was an unpaid gig. So I was like, yeah, like whatever, like
Yeah. Background
makeup.
story, Kiki has always been so good at doing her own makeup, and we come fully glammed out all the time.
Yeah.
But so I was shocked, like another background is we went to high school together. She graduated 2 years before me, I think. Yes.
Yeah, in 2020.
And we had done like some baseball managing and all that stuff together. And so this is how I have like that connection. But I just always knew that she would do great in makeup, and she finally started this Instagram page and has started doing makeup with pageants, and we'll see where that goes. But
yeah, hopefully that goes far. So when I was at the fashion show, I had actually met Miss America's Most Beautiful, Miss Colorado. Her name is Trish.
Okay.
And that's kind of like where things just started to like take off. And it was like so weird because like everything happened so fast. And it's like something I always knew I wanted, because my last year of high school, senior year, I was actually in beauty school.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just more based off of like hair. So
Yeah.
men, women, color, cuts, like that sort of thing. And that was just something I definitely didn't want to do. And
she's like, I think I'm trying to do this, but I don't.
Yeah, it took me a whole year to realize that, but at least it was like through high school, and it wasn't something that like I had to like go out of my way to pay for, you know?
Okay, yeah, that's good.
So, so I met Trish through that fashion show, and she really liked my work and the work I was doing on other girls. So we actually ended up connecting, and she's a pageant coach. So she'll have clients fly down, and I'll do their hair and makeup for their photo shoots.
That's awesome.
And we actually have like a couple trial runs lined up. I've done Trish's makeup a handful of times now. But we'll be flying to Texas 4th of July weekend. And so I'll be her hair and makeup sponsor. So I do hair, but it's just styling. Yeah, totally different.
You've also done plenty of styles on your own hair too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess styling versus actually like coloring and cutting hair are quite different in my brain.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you'd actually be styling too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Main goal is that Kiki always had like this idea in the back of her head that, you loved makeup, you were great at it, but it's real life happens. So
yeah,
working at Target and being a dental assistant is like, I don't know, it's good for you. It's a good spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you have that dream of like, what if I can do makeup for like a living and make plenty of money from it and do what I love? And that's what I think is like so important, because a lot of like late teens, early 20s are kind of just like, oh, I'd like to do this, but what are my odds? Like probably nothing, so I'm not going to try. And so I think I really wanted to have you come on here and talk about that, because you're actually putting forth the effort and it's going somewhere. So
yeah, like I was always like asking myself like, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
So I don't wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning for 4 classes, and like, so where do I go from here? So it was always just like, I just felt the need to like put myself out there, because I knew it wasn't just going to come to me, and that's why like I think that's just what like when God comes into work, like everyone like eat, pray, sleep kind of thing, and it was like I needed that from him, and it was like it's always a good prayer, just say a prayer. And so I just wanted to stop asking myself what's next. I was tired of just feeling like I was like trying to get to the end of the tunnel, and there was like a light, but I just wasn't reaching it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think a lot of people just like, if you're good at something in the least cocky way possible, I think you just need to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because you are just going to end up on like this endless cycle of, and I didn't want to be that. It's so stereotypical to say like, oh, I don't want to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
but like sometimes have to. Like,
yeah, no one really does, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of our society. That's how it's built.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that's kind of what happens sometimes. Or that's maybe you start doing that and you kind of branch off. But I don't know, kids just, or we'll say early teens, late 20s, just really kind of do what society expects them to do.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much like what goes on. And then they have a boring job that they hate, and you know, that's all you have. Because that's another thing is that so like with what I'm doing, I'm not my mom was talking to one of her friends, and she was like, oh, she's gonna be an influencer, and I was like, oh, I was like, no, that's not. I was like, no, that's not quite the goal. Like, I'm fully in college,
right?
And so I'm doing I want to do social media marketing, and obviously this is like some tie into it, so it's something that I could show employers, and even if with communications, I can do so much with it. Like, that was another thing, is that I didn't want, like you said, you wouldn't want to do dental hygiene because, you know, you get a 2-year degree and you work your ass off, but you know, you do it for 2 years and you're like, okay, well, I'm bored, so I have a degree, and now, like, what am I going to do with it? Absolutely nothing. So that was kind of why communications came in, and I was like, well, there's so many things I can do. So, like, I got into interviewing, and that was something a little weird, putting myself out there, and then this page, putting myself out there. And I guarantee there's people that are like, oh, she's trying to be an influencer. And I'm like, no, not quite.
No, but I get it. I totally get it.
No, not quite. Because I guarantee even when you like started your makeup page, you're like, oh,
it takes so much gut.
There's always just that like little voice in the back head, like, well, what will they think, or what? And I'm trying to get better at it.
Yeah, no, me too.
I don't know, because it's hard to put yourself out there, especially really with something you love. That social media is such a hit or miss. It's like you could post for who knows how long, and then you get one post that someone sees and they repost it, and you'll get a whole bunch of traction. You never know.
Right.
So it's really can be kind of discouraging, I guess. Yeah. But once you put yourself out there, and you just have to kind of continue to work at it, and like put more posts out there, like talk to more people, get more connections.
Right.
And then you kind of figure it out, like you said, with what's her name? Trish, right?
Yeah.
She has been like your connection, and hopefully will kind of take you up the ladder and introduce you to more people. And they're like, oh, her work is so good. Like, we want to get her to come do our girls' hair and makeup, whatever. And that's kind of just how you start. But
I totally agree. Like, social media is such a hit or miss thing, but I feel like, as bad as it sounds, like in today's society and just like the generation we're growing up in, like, it's what we have, you know, and content is literally king. Like, it literally is. And it's like, I try to not think about it, because it's like, to me, in the back of my head, it's so humiliating. But it's like, I'm like reposting your own post on your story.
Yeah.
Or
even your personal accounts. It's weird.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, why is she posting this again? I'm like,
No, exactly. And it's like, I think about, like, I try not to, but I think about like people I went to high school with. Yeah. People I used to go out with, or like hang out with, or just like literally anyone that just I have nothing to do with. Yeah. People I haven't talked to in 4 years.
And then when you start things like this, like it'll take, because I've seen multiple things. It's like, you can't just work at something for 3 months. You have to keep putting it in. Exactly. Because it's like, you work at it for a month and you're like, ooh, I hit 70 followers. And you're like, oh. And then you're like, people might, when you repost it, they go to your page and like, exactly. Oh, she has like nothing on here. And I even go into, like you said, content is everything. Really but I also like consistency with it. I also look at every little thing that I post. I guarantee half of the people that follow me are just like, oh, look at it for 5 seconds, scroll. And I'm like, dude, I literally thought about every single thing that was in that for like 10 minutes at least. And I continually look at it. So it's just like, it's just kind of difficult. But I even think with like young adults growing up that 5-year plan, like, or even what are you gonna do next? Like when everyone is coming to you and like, oh, like what are you gonna do after high school? And you're like, I don't know. And it's a lot of people are like, if it's not college, you're like, oh, like you don't have a plan. And then you feel some judgment from there. And it's like, so I don't have a plan. Like I'm 18, 19, 20 years old. How are you supposed to know what you want to do for the rest of your life? Like that's the biggest thing for me.
No, and I totally agree. I think my main goal was to graduate high school. And that wasn't even like I knew I was going to. Like it wasn't something that was like, oh shoot, am I gonna graduate high school? Like what am I doing now? Like that was never a thing. My main goal was to just graduate high school and then go from there. I was not in a rush to go to college, spend the money, travel to a different state for school.
Yeah. Well, just the money, even.
Yeah. The money, and that's aspect, a huge thing.
Well, and I feel like even a lot of, like, our society does push kids to go to college. But why push kids to go to college if they're just going to go, waste money, maybe not even finish a degree, or maybe finish it and not use it?
Right.
Like, what is, and then you're, like, a whole, depending on what college you go to, like, a whole bunch of money in debt.
Right.
And then you kind of have nothing. Like, you're like, well, I hate everything in my degree.
Exactly.
So the fact that you got on the job training and got a good job for what you've had it for 3 years now, and had this like building block, like this is kind of my like fall back on, like it's a steady job,
right?
And but you know your career or your like dream goal is to do makeup full time and kind of get to that.
Definitely,
but you have to be real with yourself and like I'm gonna try to do this. But yeah, there is a chance of failure, but obviously, like even with you still have to do other things. Like you can't just put all your time and effort into one thing because there is, like I said, that 3 month, like you can't just try for 3 months. You have to keep trying.
Right.
And you got to kind of push yourself out there for it to even get traction.
Exactly. And I think it's like I try to stay as realistic with myself as possible.
Yeah.
So like obviously I just started like getting myself out there and creating business cards and an Instagram account and like all of these things. But it's like, I think what a lot of people have a hard time doing is staying realistic. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm so money greedy right now and I'm so ready to just like be who I want to be and be the best and the biggest at it. And it's like, it takes time to do that. And so I think that's why I'm like so comfortable just where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Because I know I just started in March. Yeah. Literally, we're in May and it's been maybe 2 months. So
yeah. You have to have realistic goals.
Exactly. I'm not Alex Earl. Yeah. I'm not Patrick Ta or Mario. Like I'm me and I'm here to like take it easy. And then that is the main goal, is to not work at a tanning salon for the rest of my life and eventually let my dental assisting position go and become full-time makeup, whether that's weddings, proms, just pageants, just in general. So, and I definitely just like want to like start my life. Yeah. Not that I haven't already, but there's just like, it's a new day every day. And so like, I'm ready for like a new life, you know? Yeah, exactly. And so I'm just ready to like settle down. And even if I'm still working at my dental assisting job, it's a Monday through Thursday. Yeah. Like very minimal with my makeup. I make my own schedule. And that's just where I want to be in 5 years, is I just want to have like my own schedule so I can take the time for myself rather than working 3 jobs.
Yeah. And a lot of people have to also understand, like my dad does like real estate. He hops around just because he gets bored. But having 2 jobs, like one that is more sort of 9 to 5, a couple days a week, is good. And then having that dream job that you do whenever you want and you make your own schedule for it. And people have to understand that that's okay. Just because even if you don't like, hopefully you could do amazing and you could do this full time. But like, if anything, if people were to try and, you know, it doesn't do great, but you get some gigs, that you have that. You still do that on the side. Like, you don't just completely drop it and like, oh, that sucked. Like, I'm not going to go anywhere with it. So I'm just going to go do a 9 to 5 job that I'm going to hate. Like, at least hold on to that piece and kind of work for it. And
yeah, I totally agree.
At least have that part of you that is still like, I get to do part of my dream job like some of the time.
Right.
But that's what I would say. I don't know. I just thought you were a great example because, you know, after high school, a lot of us don't know what to do. And it is discouraging, like when people ask you, oh, what do you want to do? And you're like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, oh,
yeah, well,
maybe you should figure that
out. Exactly. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I graduated in 2020 and
oh, you were COVID year too.
Yeah. Yeah. So like my 5-year plan literally would, like, next year would mark my 5 years, which is so crazy because like I'm like nowhere close to who I was when I was in high school.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the person, everything is just so different. And so I just think take the 5-year plan and just like throw it out of your brain. Start with 2 years.
Especially,
and then like add 2 more, you know? Like I think everybody is like so stuck on like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do this now. Whereas,
am I
like,
going to be successful in 5 years?
Exactly.
Or in 4 years and whatever.
Yeah.
But it is very like, like you said, you were once upon a time and very much so plan. Mm-hmm. So like, okay, I'm in my second semester of my junior year right now. And then I'm going to be a senior, and then I need to start internships, or do I stay at my like day job or whatever? Like, do I get a night job that makes more money?
Exactly.
Like, it's just I need to focus on like right now. Right now, this is what's happening. You know, finish my semester, and then I'm like, okay, now what's the next step?
Totally.
Because it's really it is important to look far ahead. Like, you know, what's your end goal? Where do you hope to be? But I guess going like, because 5 years is a lot. Like, it really is. I said, right now we're like 20 and whatever, and then in 5 years, like 25, and you could be married and have kids. So it's hard to talk about that 5-year plan, but it is good to have like, okay, in a year I want to be here. Yeah. And then I want to, like, these are the goals that I want to accomplish, and kind of go from there. But
exactly. But, you know, kudos to everyone who does go to school. So serious, because like it takes a lot. I mean, we talked about the money, talked about the time. If you traveled out of state from your hometown to go to school,
that makes you grow up too, though. Like, no more family, you're on your own. Like, it makes you grow up. But
and so props to y'all, because school is not for me.
And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be for everyone. I think that's the biggest thing, is that you shouldn't force yourself into school.
Exactly.
Like, just do what you feel is good for you. And that's better than wasting money on school. And then it's like, oh, shoot, I'm in a whole bunch of debt and I don't even have a degree from it.
Right. And I wouldn't even say school. I would just say college. Because, I mean, you could go to trade school. Yeah. Whether you wanted to be like an electrician, a mechanic, even beauty school. Like, beauty school is a trade school. But they only teach you what they have to teach you. Yeah. A lot of like if you don't already know the basics, that's what they're going to teach you in school. Everything else, you're on your own. Whether you take separate classes or courses. Like, even with me, I just recently took a different makeup class with a beauty influencer in Denver. Yeah. And I feel like, you've gone to school and you've gotten the basics out of the way, but like, it's knowledge is power.
Good. Yeah,
you just need to keep going.
It's always good to keep learning.
Exactly.
And like finding new ways to do things. Exactly. And just in any aspect. Like, you should never just be like, okay, I graduated school, or I finished or college, or trade school, or high school, and you know, you did on the job training, or even with like dental assisting. Like, this is what I want to do later on. Like, just have that kind of goal for yourself.
Exactly. So, moral of the story, you know what I do. You know what happened after high school and what I did. 5-year plan. Meh. I'm taking it day by day.
See what you want to do.
Year by year. Exactly. And hopefully in 5 years, I like to stay freelance as a makeup artist. I don't think I'd ever want to work out of a salon or a spa or anything like that.
Well, then you don't make what you make either.
Exactly.
They take the money from you. So it's
if I do, it would probably be my own. I probably would not.
I'll start my own salon.
I don't want a boss. Yeah. I want to do what I want to do at my own will, and I don't want to, you know, like, and that's, I feel like everybody's like ideal dream is to just like have your own schedule, make your own rules and stuff, you know? And so that's where I hope to be in 5 years, if I had a 5-year plan.
When we get there.
Is to continue to stay freelance and
just follow what you want to do.
Yeah,
that's really the end goal. But thank you for talking to me. And I appreciate your
Kayla.
advice.
Love this. Thank you, Unfiltered Lens with Kayla Cox.